How you guys doing? This is Derek with Dolan Woodworking. Today, I'm going to be going over an app that I've been using for the previous year and a half to draw out different plans and blueprints and schematics of kitchens that I'm doing and stuff like that. Now, I looked for quite a while to find an app that really fit what I was trying to do, and that was relatively easy to work with, especially learning how to use it. Now, this one, it was just kind of like, it came natural. As I started to use it, it just kind of made sense. And I just started to really like it more and more and more. And then obviously the more you know, the better the app works for you. So this app is called ArcSite. To start this out, I'm going to throw in my discount code. It's going to be a link. It's also going to be in the description. And that'll give you 10% off for 3 months. So if you want to give it a try for 3 months, give it a try, see how you like it. So I use this on my iPad Pro. It is definitely nice to have an Apple Pencil to do this as well. Now, let's start out with this. This is going to make life a little easier depending on what you're doing. Now, I have the Bosch Bluetooth laser. Now, to connect your laser, what you're going to want to do, let's go right in here. Let's dive right in here. I already started a demo project. Let's hit new drawing. I go to blank. We can call this whatever we want. We'll keep it drawing 1. Units and precisions, I go down to the 16th. So all of that can be changed. Now, 2 fingers, you can zoom in, zoom out. Up here in the top right corner, you have your features, but your gear icon. If you click on that, up top, you can see units and precision. Now, this is where you can change it. Inches up here, and then down here, you can go down to the 1/8 inch if you want, or you want to go all the way to a 64th, you can. 16th is usually what I go down to, and also inches, depending on what I'm doing, I switch back between inches and feet. I really like to keep inches because when I'm building cabinets and doing all those measurements, I'm going to build a 36-inch sink base, not a 3-foot sink base. So I try to keep all those things type inches. Now I'm going to go back. If you scroll down here, right here, it says laser meter devices. Now first, make sure your Bluetooth is on your iPad. All right, and then you can click that and then turn on, mine's already been connected, so it's already searching for it. But turn on your laser while it's looking, and it should pop up there to click and connect. Now mine, obviously, it says connected now. I already had mine connected previously, so it was a little easier to deal with on this. Let's dive right in. Let's do just a square room. Let's do that. We can go to wall, all right? I keep continuous lines. It's a little bit nicer, at least for what I'm doing. And then if you stay on that, you stay selected, down below, you see close, wall color, and wall thickness right down below at the bottom of the screen. Now you can change wall color. I keep everything in black and gray because if I print something out, I only have a black and white printer. Nothing's going to print color, so I like to keep everything in that color range just to keep it simple. So I can click wall thickness. This is where you can decide, obviously, how big the wall is, how thick the wall is. You can change exterior, interior, all of that. So just do whatever you want to do. Typically, an interior wall is made out of 2x4, which is 3.5 inches. But then you have 1/2 inch drywall on either side. So if you're doing a bird's eye view looking down, it would technically be like a 4.5 inch thick wall. We're just going to keep this 5 for now because we're just going to demo it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a square or a rectangle. That's a better. As I'm going, right there, it's telling me that I'm lined up with that other wall. Do you see that? So I'm going, bam, it's telling me I'm lined up. It also gives me the dimensions. Now I'm going to connect them. All right, so now I have a rectangle. Now I want to make sure it's the same size as the room. So I'm going to click on this top wall. All right. This measurement on the inside, you see that the top one shows the outside wall to wall. The bottom one shows the inside wall to wall. So I'm going to click that measurement. This is where I can type in anything I want. So if you don't have a laser measurer or whatever you want to call it, you can measure it and then type in 164 inches 3/8 or whatever. But since I have the laser, right here, well, it says, well, it's ready for me to type it in. I'm going to turn the laser on. Now you can see that it's got the laser pointer. I'm going to go to my right wall. I'm going to click it. Oh, didn't do it. There we go. 256.5 inches. All right. That went right in. I hit the green check mark. That automatically adjusted my room. Now I can do the same exact thing with this one. Click on the inside dimension. Get the laser going. Click it. Immediately 347.9/16. Hit the green check. That is not really the size of the room that I'm in right now because obviously I'm standing in the middle. I did not walk to that wall to measure wall to wall and the wall behind me to go from wall to wall. But I'm just kind of demonstrating using a laser with this. And that's why this is really nice. Now I'm going to shut this off because that's the only thing I'm going to do with the laser. If you're walking around a room trying to copy the blueprints of a house down onto this, that would make it a lot easier to do, to just walk around, hit things, punch it, hit things. So that would make it really nice. So we're going to zoom in here. I'm going to show you how I go about some of the things here on how I do a kitchen. But first, let's explore some of the cool features here. Now, underneath wall, we have openings. All right. As you can see, these are all pre-loaded in doors and then windows. So say I want to enter a door, I'm just going to click on the single door. Let's keep it simple. Now I can type in 30-inch door, I can keep it 36, I can go, this is totally unrealistic, but I can be like 40, 42 inches. Enter. It's going to change that door. On the right, you have this little like half circle with an arrow. It kind of looks like a refresh button. If I hold that, I can rotate the door around whatever way you want it to go. So I'm going to take that little center button right in the very center, right under 42 inches is what you click on to move it around. Now, as you can see, it's kind of nice. It shows you where the dimensions of this from every wall is. But I'm going to go right here, and it shows you the distance between the other wall and the door. So I'm just going to drop it right there. And it also opens up the wall so that it looks like it is a door that's entering in that room. Now, another thing to do, you click on the door, and to the right now you see I don't even know how to describe it, two triangles facing each other with an arrow up above. This is how you change the swing of the door. Click on it, I hold it, I move it around, up and down. That's how you're changing the swing. You can keep it there if you want. The bottom left, it shows, not bottom left of the screen, but the bottom left right under the door to the left, all these features while you're selected on the door. This is allowing you to click it and then copy the door again somewhere else. So I'm going to click it. I'm dragging this door over here. I can drop it there. I can drag another one over here. Easy. Now, what's very important, you're going to find yourself using this all the time. The very top left corner next to the name of the project, which I have mine demo, is the back button. I'm going to click this. It's going to go back. Click it again. It just removed those two doors that I had there. That's going to come in handy when you're doing a lot of different things. I use the back button consistently. So let's move on a little bit more. Windows, well, openings can go down to a double hung. I'm going to eliminate this. Okay, double hung. Let's say it's going to be a 48-inch window. Twist it around so that it's going the right way, and let's drag it to the wall. Now, if you are wanting to move this window so that it's exactly, say, 122 inches from that right wall where it says 97 3/4, I can click 97 3/4 and say 125, I don't know what I just said, but let's say 125 1/4, hit the green, boom, it is now exactly where you wanted it. That's a really nice feature with this. It'd be really annoying trying to drag it to where it needs to be, you know. Now, let's move on a little bit more to some shapes. This is one of the things that I use the most. Now, my program, the version I pay for, allows me to create shapes. And this comes in handy for a lot of what I do. So I'm going to hit shapes here. Now, first of all, they have a lot of preloaded shapes that you can download. There's a ton of different ones. Audio-visual, basic shapes, bathroom, bathtubs, ceiling. I mean, there's a ton. I'm not even breaking the surface yet. Cooking, and then custom. Okay, so those are all the preloaded ones. At the very top, you see libraries. Then you see this like little world icon. That's the downloader to the internet. That I think is recently used. This is me. This is my little icon, my little person. I'm going to click on that. These are my custom-made shapes. Now, these are kind of my base cabinets where you see the B12, 12.5, 15. I stopped saving those because it's so easy to just change the shape that there's not really any use in having, 500 different ones of this in every inch or 16th or whatever. So I can hit B24. I have a 24 here. I need a 28. I know there's already a 28 down there, but I just click that, type in 28. Now I have a 28. Or I click on that measurement and 32. Now I have a 32. So you don't really have to keep all those shapes in there. It kind of just makes it so that it's kind of messy. There's just so many there. So, and then of course, as always, you can drag it wherever you want to go. Oh, excuse me. Drag wherever you want to go. Now, I have mine so that they're going to lock into my wall. Now, that's where I want it to go because that's where it's going to be in the actual house, is up against the wall. So, let's start in the corner. That's typically where I'd like to start. Let's scroll down in my shapes here. Susan. I have a Susan right here. We'll go over the Susan with wall cabinets in a minute. So drag that, bam. Now I got a Susan. Now I got a 32-inch cabinet. If I want to stay with not selecting more cabinets, I can select this cabinet, and as you saw what I did with the door before, down below that little square with an arrow up to another square, I'm just going to copy that and then drag it. I can drag it way over here. I have to unselect it, then select it again. All right, let's do a 36-inch. Lock that in there, and I can keep going with my cabinets as far as I need to go. In my pre-made ones, I have a sink base. Typically, we'll always have a sink base in the kitchen. So let's drop that in there. All I did was I took a sink out of the internet downloaded shapes here. I put that inside a 36-inch cabinet, and then I kind of wrote, SB stands for sink base 36. So I kind of customized that shape and saved it. Now, moving on from there, typically I always have a dishwasher next to it. So let's go up. It's going to be up towards the top. I can never find it when I need to. Actually, it's not going to be up towards the top. Dishwasher. I don't remember which this came out of. I don't remember if this was like top of a supposed like dryer or something. But this looked like a decent drawing for a dishwasher, and then I wrote DW24. Standard dishwashers are going to be 24 inches. So that's what that would be. So as you can imagine, we're just going to keep going. Let's go to some of my preloaded cabinets. Let's click on a bunch of different ones here. Let's do a 26. You got to make sure you're locking to the right place too. Let's do a 27. Now I said we'd talk about the Susan with wall cabinets, and I am going to do that. So Susan, as you see, it is not facing the correct way. What we have to do is grab on that, on the right side of the Susan, that little, circle with the arrow so I can rotate it. Nope, not that one. Right there. So now it's the right way. Now I'm going to click it and drag it into the corner. Now that that's in the corner, I'm going to zoom in here. Another feature that's important that you're going to use a lot is on this right side, you have all these options here. The measure, which is going to be 2 under shapes, measure tab. I'm going to keep it on distance. Now I'm going to measure from this Susan all the way over to this cabinet here, 30 1/2. Now I'm going to delete that because I don't want to keep that there. This cabinet here is going to be 30, and then you're going to hit this little tab on the bottom that's like that one right there to space it, 30 1/2. Enter. Now that kind of went on the wrong side, not a big deal, drag it over, pops in place. Now I have cabinets going from wall to wall. Both the same size Susans, but just one has what's called wall cabinets above, which I will show you in a minute. Let's just throw in a couple more cabinets here. Let's drag in that. I don't know, let's do a 36. Clip that there. Okay, so now you see we have a kitchen coming together here. Let's go to shapes. We're going to go down to wall cabinets where it says W, 24, 30, 31. W is what's going to stand for wall. So let's do like a 39. All right, I'm going to rotate it because I'm going to do it on this wall here. Now you see how that circle Susan ends right where my wall cabinet goes in. That's why I have written in there Susan with wall cabinets above. Now, I shouldn't have made this 39. I should have made this 36 so that it ends at the same place that this cabinet ends here. Right there, so that it's just like a nice clean line. So let's go back to shapes. Let's do, I don't know, let's figure out what size we need to make this one. 24. All right. So let's make it 24. Shapes. Oh, there's a wall 24 already preloaded. Bam. All right, now we have a blind corner in there. So you probably get the idea from this point how to move forward with this. Now my wall cabinets are 12 inches deep by whatever the size. Base cabinets are 24 deep by whatever the width. Now what I will do when going back through these, let's just measure a couple of these. 30 1/2, 26. I'll click on the tab right under measure, and I'm going to hit text. Now this is where I'm going to be able to write in here. So I'm going to click on where I want this to go. This was a 30 1/2. I have a keyboard on my iPad, so I don't have the keyboard pop up. If not, the keyboard would pop up. Since I'm connected to it, I'm going to say B 30 1/2. I put a space, and I use this mark, which I don't really know what that's called, but in this situation, I'm just going to keep it 30 1/2 because I already know the height. Now, I hit done. You can zoom in. Zooming in as close as you get is going to help you move it around and get like really close. I like to center it on the cabinet. So this 26 inch next to it, let's call this a drawer base. Let's say there's going to be 3 drawers in this thing. So I'm going to say DB 26. Now this is one thing that drives me crazy sometimes is the height or the size of the font. So let's click on this one. Down at the bottom, this is going to give me all my options. Color and styles. All right, this is a 12. You can also change the colors of everything, make it transparent, all of that. But this text height is 12. All right, I'm going to click on this one. Let's make this one the same because that makes sense. Keep them all the same. Drag it to the center. Let go. All right. Now we got a B, 30.5. Got a drawer base, 26. We don't need these measurements. Bottom right is going to be a delete. So let's do that. And then hit delete. All right. Oops. Ignore that. For the text, I just usually click and I can type. But if you want to make a box, you can make a box to type stuff in. I don't typically do that because then you're kind of limited to what you can say in that box. Or if you get to the end of that box, it'll start a new line, which I would rather have all control over that. So, all right, so that kind of describes a little bit of that. Let's show you another thing under text. Underneath the T, there is this line, which I already used a minute ago. But this is if I'm going to point something out. For instance, right here, I want to point out that this needs extra spacer. Extra spacer. So I can click this little square. I can drag it around, make it whatever I want. I can make it real tight to here so it's hidden. Whatever I want there. Make it as nice as you want. So then I can highlight that I need an extra spacer there. All right. So moving on from here, let's see what we want to do. I'm going to delete this cabinet just for the sake of what I'm going to do next. Now, let's do a refrigerator in this next opening, or this next area here. So, for a refrigerator, I have just a 36-inch REF, which obviously stands for refrigerator. Now, how we do our panels next to a refrigerator is I do a panel that goes floor to ceiling with a face frame, or usually it's got a face frame on the very end. Then it's going to have like a mission style panel, floor to ceiling. Now over here, between a cabinet and a refrigerator, since there's usually going to be a base cabinet tying in, it's 24 deep, and a wall cabinet tying in that's 12 deep, I am just going to do a 3/4, it's honestly a piece of plywood, obviously, sanded and all that, but that's going to be my panel that's going to separate that so you don't see the side of the fridge. This looks really nice if you have a counter depth fridge. If not, you can make this deeper. Usually it'd have to be usually we'll do 30-inch if it's a full depth fridge. It'll still stick out like a little bit, especially the door. So let's go to draw. Let's draw this first. Let's keep continuous lines. All right, you can draw a rectangle, freehand formed, all this stuff. But continuous lines is what I'm going to use. I'm going to zoom in real close. My plywood is 3/4 thick. So let's do a line down here, this dotted line. And then let's come out here. It shows me how long of the line I just drew. I'm going to click on that. I only want this to be 3/4 thick. All right. Now I'm going to draw it so it goes all the way back. Clips there. And then I'm going to draw a little one here and finish it off even though there's already wall there. Now for my OCD purpose, what I like to do is you can hit fill on this right side, right under shapes, fill. The bottom fill style, you can select, there's a bunch of different colors here, or you can make your own, choose a bunch of different. Let's go back to fill settings. I'm just going to fill it to this gray here. All right, I'm going to select what I want to fill. Now, what's extremely important is at the bottom, you need to hit finish, or else it will not save. So I'm going to hit finish. It saves that as my panel. Now I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to drag my refrigerator to butt into that. So now I have my panel and then refrigerator. We're going to go back to shapes. And this is going to need a left end panel for this one. So this is already preloaded in here. Can drag it around. Now let's bring this down here. There we go. That's the right way. I'm going to drag it. Now the face frame is going to be what's touching the fridge there. So there's going to be kind of extra room on the left side on the inside. I usually do these with an 1.5" face frame on the face. Looks a little nicer. Now, also something to note is, yes, all you see here is a refrigerator, but typically above the refrigerator, I will do a 24 deep cabinet. So I don't like to do 12-inch deep cabinets. I'm short, I can't reach them. So I do a full depth, 24 deep cabinet so that it comes out more towards the front of the fridge. That way you can actually open it and actually get to it. You know, if it did come out 30 inches, you could do a 30-inch deep cabinet above the fridge. But especially for this video purpose right now, we are just going to keep the 24 deep. And then I would probably change the name of that and move the refrigerator label down and then write, you know, above fridge. And then I would make sure I put in the details of the height the cabinet needs to be. Now, usually for a fridge, we'll give it about 72 to 73 inches. It's great when they already know what fridge they want to purchase for this, or if they're reusing their old fridge, you can measure it and make sure. I wouldn't go much less than that, like if their fridge happens to be like 68 tall. Standard fridges are going to be, it'd be safe to go like 72 to 73. That way, if something breaks, they can get a new one and they're not going to have an issue fitting it. Because if you're making custom cabinets like us, our cabinets are going to go all the way to the ceiling. A little side note, our cabinets will go to the ceiling, but they won't. I keep the cabinets down about 1.5 inches. And we usually have about a 3.5-inch top face frame that's on the cabinets. And my crown molding is what caps it from that face frame to the ceiling. So that's one of the popular questions I always get asked when I tell people they're going to go to the ceiling, but then I tell them they're going to be 1.5 inches down. They get confused. They don't realize that it's going to be the crown molding that's going to be capping that little gap. So anyways, jumping ahead back to ArcSite here. Let's draw something. We're going to be in continuous lines. Let's just draw something. I don't know. Let's just make a square or a rectangle. I keep calling rectangles squares. I don't know. Let's just, really funky shape. I don't know what this is. I just drew a bunch of lines. Now, let's go up to right above draw. You see multi-select right here. You can either do box select or free select. I'll show you both. If I hit free select, let's zoom in. I'm only selecting that line, or what you can do is draw. You can hold the pencil down. You can see I'm kind of drawing. Oh, I selected that line because I went through it. That line because I went through it. That line, that line. Now I only have those selected. I'm going to click out to eliminate that. To box select, I'm going to hit the top one now. I'm going to drag and select everything in that box. Now, since I have this whole thing that I just drew selected, the bottom towards the middle, it says create shape. Now this is the reason I pay for the version that I have, is so that I can create shapes. So let's create a shape. Let's call this demo, because I just made it for a demonstration. I'm going to hit edit snap points. Now you see they're all gray. Everywhere where two lines are intersecting are gray. I'm going to click the corners. This is actually pretty important because this is what's going to help my shape snap to another shape or a wall, because those are going to be my snap points. All right, now let's hit done. go back. We have our snap points selected. I'm going to hit remember size and unit because I want to keep this size maybe. Or if you're making a refrigerator like you saw my 36-inch refrigerator, you want to keep it like that. So you're going to want to keep the size 36-inch. And let's hit create. Nope. With Apple Pencil, sometimes it gets funky if you click something like that because I think you can technically start writing like an H, an I, and it just comes up. I'm going to delete that. I'm just going to hit create with my finger. All right, it's been added to my shapes. Now let's go to shapes. It's going to be in D because it's in alphabetical order. Demo, right here. You can click it. It's going to give me a bunch. Now it's going to give me the shape that I just created. I'm going to hit back and eliminate them all. And then let's just select this and let's just delete it. Now, another thing that can help you, for instance, how I made this right here, how I made the other version of the Susan with wall cabinets, is what I did is I went down and I hit more and I hit break apart. So this is going to come in handy when you go to shapes and you go to all these shapes that they have preloaded. Hitting break apart makes it so that you can edit anything. Okay, so let's see here. So you see a 6-burner stove here, right? 6-burner stove. If you want to change this, for instance, let's go to my shapes that I've created. Let me see here. I have customized to where 36-inch range. I took this and I took this right here and I broke it apart and made it so that it's smaller. And the reason for that being is because, all right, this is probably not going to work out. Let me change this to a 30. Bear with me here for a second. Move that over. This is a 36. I need to add 2 inches, so 38. All right. So we need a wall cabinet. Let's copy this over here. All right, so now drag this down into here. Let's make this 30. All right, put this in here. For instance, if this was going to be the stove, right? Typically your hood would probably be around 20 inches deep, or probably more like 18 inches deep. There are times where we've made this smaller or larger. It really just depends on the stove and what kind of setup they have. Delete the base cabinet out of there. But now I'm going to drag this into here. Just kidding. That is not a 30. Now it's a 30. I'm going to drag it into there. And now you can see that it fits, it looks good, and then I can label this right here. Let's see. Custom, let's spell it right first. Custom hood. All right, and now as a bird's eye view, you're looking at everything that you would actually see. For instance, that's why over here, I did it to where you can only see the Susan part till it hits the wall cabinets, because you're not going to visually be able to see through the wall cabinets and see the Susan. So I like to do that in all the stuff that I build so that it's cleaner. You have less lines like that. Or else I would have a circle in the middle of my wall cabinets and it would just be a lot of added lines. So let's do something unique here. Let's show you how I do this. I'll grab a wall cabinet. Let me drag it over here. Let's pretend I'm going to have a 48-inch wall cabinet here, okay? Oh no, I have a line here that looks kind of ugly that's right through the wall cabinet. That looks really messy. So I'm going to click on this cabinet here, the bottom right where it says more. I'm going to break it apart. I got to click over here to make it so I don't have it selected. I'm going to click on this line here, and I'm going to drag it shorter, stop at the wall cabinet. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this left cabinet. More, break apart. I'm going to drag this to there. Okay, now visually that looks a lot cleaner because now my wall cabinet, there's no line separating my wall cabinet from left part to right part. And let's throw a name on this. It's going to be wall, let's say 48. And for instance, I'm going to put that mark in there. 48. For instance, what if these were 52 inches high? 52. Let's make this 12, just like we made the other sizes. Zoom in, drag it to the middle. Now I have a wall cabinet that's 48 inches wide by 52 high. That's what my wall cabinets are going to look like when I go to label them. I'm going to have it labeled width first, then height. And I'm going to have the height going all the way up to 1.5 inches down from the ceiling. So let's see here. So it's coming together. You can see how I made this shape here. Let me show you. You can select this. You can hit break apart. Stuff like this is going to get really intricate because there's so many little parts to it. You can delete that line. You can delete that line. I mean, there's so many tiny little parts to this. So I will say that I spent a lot of time in making those specific shapes. You can hit free select and you can just start scribbling, and I don't want to delete that line all the way through because that's a little farther than I need. So you can do it little at a time until you get enough out of there that you're good with. Now this isn't really something I'm going to tackle right now, so I'm just going to delete it. But now you have your custom hood there. Wall cabinets. So far, it looks like we're going pretty good with designing these cabinets. Now, let me touch on one more thing really cool. Let's go to measure. Now, you can measure the area of a rectangle if you're doing flooring or something. So let's say this. That's showing me what that area is. So if I click up here, I'm going to click this whole room here. That shows me, this is showing me in square inches because I'm in inches. But if I go back, let's just do it real quick. I'm going to click my gear. Let's change to feet. Every time you switch to feet, you want to check and look at your smallest length precision because it will change that. So it's now 1/8. I'm going to go back to a 1/16. Okay. Now let's measure this. Let's see how many square feet we got. 600 square feet. So if for some reason it didn't go all the way to the corner. So let's go all the way to the corner this time. There we go. 619 square feet. So if you're figuring flooring of a house and you're going about it, you have your plan drawn, you can figure your square feet off of that. You don't have to sit there and figure out all the square footage by doing all the dimensions. I'm going to hit back and delete all this. But that is a cool feature for each room. You can figure that. So like I said, if you're doing flooring or something of that. Area select boundary. Let's see what this one is. I don't know if I've ever used this specific one. I wasn't sure if it was going to be you just selected in the middle and it showed you the area of that. But, oh, okay. Pick internal point. This one right here. Okay, there you go. It actually shows you it without the cabinets in there. So if you don't want to waste any flooring, what you're going to run under, well, I would run the flooring under the cabinets as long as it was like hardwoods or something like that. But it would save you that extra, let's see, it was 619. So 562. So that's another way to measure the flooring. So that's another cool feature about this. Man, there's so much to this program. I can probably make like a 3-hour video of everything that I think I know, and it probably wouldn't even scratch the surface. Maybe it would scratch it a little bit. Another cool thing you can do is hit photo. You can insert a photo, which is cool. Can put in a photo there. So if you're doing an estimate or whatever and you want to remember, this looked like this or something like that. You can add in a photo in different areas. Another important thing to let you know about this, which I find it really cool, is if you're working with more people. So I work sometimes with my brother, who is Dell & Customs. If you want to check his channel out, you can, Dell & Customs. So what we'll do is we'll work on a project together. Now, I can actually send this drawing to him, and he can have access as well, and he can draw on it. And what happens is you just want to make sure in this top corner where the cloud is, you hit up, and then you hit publish. Now it's publishing it to the ArcSite app. Now, I am actually connected to the internet. Forgot that I was connected to my hotspot. So I hit up. Now it's uploaded. So now that if he goes and looks at this drawing, if I had already shared it with him, he'll be able to view this drawing. Now, before he finishes, if he does an edit, he has to hit that too so that it pops up on mine. It's not like everything I draw he sees unless I upload it. This can get sticky if you both change something that's going to affect, like we both change the size of one cabinet. It will say that something's interfering with updating, or maybe something that he adjusted is different than mine, but it's like it has to do or connected to the same thing. If he writes something on the bottom left, like in like a paragraph saying 26 inches is the measurement between windows, and I change the size of a cabinet, nothing's going to be affected. It'll just all of a sudden show me that he wrote that, and then it'll adjust the cabinet on his. Stuff like that's totally fine. We've had issues where we've both changed something, and then it pretty much asks me, whose do you want to go with, yours or theirs? And it's kind of complicated because I don't know what he changed. It can get sticky with that. But what I think we started out doing more recently is I'll just duplicate the drawing to the next one, and that'll be my kitchen design. So that's one way to do it. But let's keep going with this. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to cover a lot of the stuff that they have to offer with this. Yeah, you can export a viewable link. So if you're trying to show a customer something and you say, hey, check out this kitchen design, export a shareable link, you know, they'll be able to view it. Another thing to mention is layers. Now on the very top, you see my gear. It's a photo, so that's the same as, that's something else. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But layers. So you can change the layers. So I can say kitchen, it's going to be layer 1. Layer 2 is going to be the bathroom. And so you can kind of do different layers with stuff like that. One thing I will say is you can have issues with walls not connecting if they're not on the same layer. You will run into trouble with that. I started out with changing the layers, doing cool things like that. And then honestly, I got to the point where I was just like, all one layer is fine with me. So I started to do that. Now, you can hit photo, select from photo library. This is a cool feature. You can do it maybe if you open up a blank one and you upload a blueprint that you have the file of or a picture of. You can upload that on, and then you can start kind of drawing in your own version of it while it's right up here on your screen. That is pretty cool. I have not done that a lot. Usually I'm drawing the plans. So, man, I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, so let's cover this a little bit more too. So let's go into shapes. Now, sometimes you're going to come across people who aren't very visual, and maybe you aren't yourself. Sometimes it's difficult to really visualize what something's going to look like. So what you can do, I will say this takes an extreme amount of time, but you can draw things to scale what it's going to look like head on. So let me show you what a front drawer base 24. This is exactly what a drawer base is going to look like, made full overlay. Okay, I've drawn this to scale. You're going to see a 1/4 inch. You're going to see a 1/4 inch. Can't even measure it because it's so small. See a 1/4 inch of the face frame there, 1/4 inch of the face frame there. But my drawer front is going to be 7 1/4 or 8" on this one. What are these ones? 10.5, yep. 10.5. So you can draw it to be exact to scale. And then I kind of shaded the insides of the drawer fronts. My rails are always 2 5/8. 2 5/8. For drawer fronts on the top, it's usually 2". This one's 2" as well. The rest are 2 5/8 by 2 5/8, as you can see there. So you can draw things to scale. This takes a ton of time. So I've drawn what a drawer base with a slide-in cooktop is going to look like. Now let me show you. Let me go back. Let me show you for instance, what I've drawn before. This was I'll back up. Okay, this was a bathroom I drew, right? This was possibly going to be the bathroom plan. And so I drew this up. They wanted the vanity. I gave them all the measurements of everything. And then they were having trouble visualizing this area right here, this whole wall, okay? So I drew that. So let's go back. This was the front view. Now they had a crazy tall ceiling that angled up like that. Now you can see what I mean by drawing things to scale. So I drew a 12" cabinet. This was going to be a pull-out with like a plug in it that had an area for your curling iron, blow dryer, all that stuff. Then a drawer base. This is going to be a vanity seating right here in the center for a chair. And then moving on, it was the same thing on the right. Then you had a closet left and right. So as you can see, this probably took me some time. This definitely took some time. But for people who aren't very visual, who want to see stuff like that, you know, you can do that. Let's see if we have something else. I believe I had, let me think of it. I think this one here, you know, X panel, they wanted X panels, so I drew a demonstration of that. This was one whole line of cabinets here. You know, you got 2 wall cabinets on the left, 2 wall cabinets on the right. Center is the hood over the cooktop. And then we had, you know, the base cabinets in there. This helped when drawing and kind of showing them what it was visually going to look like. This was an instance in the laundry room where she was having trouble on what I was trying to say on panels, how there was going to be a panel on the right and a half panel on the left. So I drew it and then I highlighted it in green so it would draw her attention so I could show them what I was going to be doing. I never finished the drawing, which is why down here it's just kind of nothing. I was mainly focusing on that panel right there. So as you can see, those are kind of cool. You have the option to do that, but it just takes a lot of time. Now, if you go into shapes, they have some shapes that are already shown as front view, like a washer. This is a front view of a washer. Dryer right here. This is where I got the dishwasher drawing. As you can see, I just made it a lot smaller. They have a ton of different stuff you can select and use. And then if you don't have it there, you can draw it, which is one of the reasons why I love this this app, this software. Now, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. There's so many different things you can do. Hopefully you followed along with that. Actually, one more thing let's go over really quick. This is a question that I had. I actually asked ArcSite this, and they actually answered me. Now, if you draw a line, draw that line. We're going to draw this line. Let's zoom in on this. If I click this and I say, all right, I want to extend this line. It's 2 foot 5/16. Let's extend it to 3 foot 5/16. Now this yellow tab here, I'm changing which direction is going to move. All right, or which direction, I believe, which direction moves or which direction stays. Okay, that's the direction that it goes. the direction it's facing is the direction the line's going to move. So let's go 4 foot 5/16. Okay, it's facing up. Hit the check. It goes that way. Now this gets really frustrating when you're moving walls, extending a wall, because if there's another wall in junction to that, connecting to it, and you move that wall, extend it, it's going to move that wall that's into it as well. So that's why it's nice to like be able to adjust which direction the wall is going to go. So let's delete that. So overall, I'm going to say that this app is definitely worth the money, especially if you do what I do or you just want to be able to draw and design stuff. I would highly recommend at least giving it the 3-month trial. Use my code, save yourself 10% for 3 months. And yeah, give it a try. Let me know if you've used this before. Or let me know if you guys end up trying it out and liking it or disliking it. Let me know. If you also have any questions about it, I may be able to answer them. Shoot me a comment. Definitely give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe. Well, I guess like and thumbs up is the same thing. So definitely like it and then subscribe. Thank you.